Hello, hello. So I've made this new device, Locomotion. Click here, and now you can work with the joystick. Press A to jump. You can also disable swim. So if you don't want player to cheat and pass obstacle by swimming, max speed. So this is the maximum speed. Acceleration. So it helps, like if there is a slope, it helps climbing up the slope. I don't know, maybe here. Okay, and jump force. And you can get, so I tried to put some interesting information. So the ground contact, so it goes to 0 as soon as I go up. So here it's 0 when I'm in the air, and 1 when I'm on the ground. Here it's an jolt when I jump. Here this is the walk distance. So it was 73, not 77. And fall damage. So this is not super precise, but good enough, I think. So you could use like the walk distance maybe to make some footstep audio, also fall damage to put some audio when we are landing from a jump. And yeah, that's all. I think it's cool. So you can, it's using the default turning. Maybe, I don't know if I can make another device for turning, but I think what we have right now, it's pretty nice. So you can also go sideways and back. Yeah, that's all. Enjoy. Also, about what's inside and how it works. So it's pretty cool because lately we had added this play mode setting on the constant block, so we can know whether when the player is going to play mode, because since it's use physics, you need to be in play mode in order for it to work. It's split into, inside there is another device, and this one is like following the player feet. So it starts here, the local player. Here the local player, there is a gate for when we activate and deactivate the device. Here there is the follow block that makes these fields applying the force to the player to follow the feet of the local player. So my feet. And we got controller output. Also, it's nice because lately you can select whether or not you want to override any button on the controller. So you need to be careful, I guess, with this, because if you override like the radial menu or the menu, you could be stuck inside the world and unable to save. But here I reserve the joystick axis, so player is not able to do undo and redo, and also up and down. So it's not using the what we call the jetpack. So this is disabled, and it's also using the right button A to jump. So you can't open the radial menu anymore, but since there is a gate, it's going to basically disconnect the player as soon as I deactivate it. So this block will be deactivated. So as soon as I deactivate this, I can now use the radial menu again, and everything go back to normal on my controller's button. So that's pretty cool. We apply physics to the player, gravity. It doesn't really work without gravity, but There are other settings you can tweak, like the friction with the ground, but if it's sliding too much, then maybe you need to put drag, but drag also is also applied when you fly, so it's going to break your fall basically. So I just put some setting that looks right, so it's not drifting, there is not too much friction with the ground, and it feels pretty nice, but I could spend some more time trying to make it better, but I think it's good like this. This is how I detect if the player is on the ground. So I set this RayCast to 40 centimeters, and so it's just looking here. Since all this will be the position of the feet, so I just put a little above and just check if there is something here. I press this button to make it check continuously instead of using the jolt input, and so it checks between 0 and 40 centimeters and send the distance here, the hits count instead. So then just check if it hits something. Here I have two fields, one for jumping and the other one for the direction. So we have these arrows that indicate which direction the force is applied, and basically we need to have those arrows to follow the same axis of my joystick. So what I did for this is get look at and set position. So maybe I can disconnect this just to show. So this is where my joystick input arrive, and it moves the ball here in different direction. And you can see that when the ball moves, it also moves the arrows because I connected a look at block. So the arrows applying the force are always looking at this ball, and this ball corresponds to my joystick input. Maybe I can try to activate it. No, because right now it doesn't work in edit mode. And I also have the speed. I use the vertical acceleration to know the fall damage. I also apply some filter like fall damage are only applied if you were previously in the air. So this is in this other group. So here, if I'm in the air, there is some delay here, so it basically resets the timer, and here I've got the fall damage basically, and there is a gate, and with the timer it prevents the jolt to be passed, and voila. And what else? Yeah, there is also the speed. So not sure I'm going to be able to explain this, but we have a max speed and acceleration. So I measure the speed from the speed block here. So this outputs acceleration, also speed, 3-axis. And if you want all axis at once, it's here on the corner. So I've got the speed, and I take the absolute value and I divide by the maximum speed. So if I'm at 0 speed, it's 0. If I'm at max speed, it's 1. But what I want is to invert this to drive the acceleration. So basically when my speed is 0, I've got full potential acceleration. And when I will start to reach my maximum speed, it's gonna drop down to 0. So if I'm at 0 speed, I've got 100% acceleration, and if I'm nearly at maximum speed, I've got 0% acceleration. This is where the acceleration comes, and here we multiply. This is the input from the joystick. Here, multiply and apply to the ball. And here I've got the jump button, so I've put a watcher block. It's watching if it's superior above 0. So if the button press goes above 0, send a jolt. And yeah, maybe also this is interesting. So this is the walk distance. Not that simple, but so I correct here the speed on the x-axis and the speed on the z-axis. The walk distance, I don't want to use the vertical motion because this is more about jumping or falling, so I'm just using the x and z axis. The speed, I take the absolute value because I don't care which way I'm going. I add them up together. And here I have a clock. So this is basically like if I'm going like 1 speed on my left, for example. So this will send the 1, and it will set the clock speed to 1, and the clock will increase. If the longer I'm going on the side, the longer it will increase the clock value and send it here. And yeah, that's all. And the clock is reset when we activate and deactivate the device. And here it just multiply by the ground contact. So if I'm in the air, this goes to 0 and it completely stopped the clock. And if I'm on the ground, it's back to 1, checking the speed to drive the clock. And yeah, that's about all. The swimming, so disable the swimming, either when I click disable swim or also when I click activate, check again if the toggle is pressed here.